What's going on, folks? Tyson Anderson here. We're gonna go ahead and let you guys build up and come on in. Hope your days was going well. Excited about the night. Brother Damon, how are you, sir? We got a little Mr. Tyler Childress, one of Mr. Reffett's favorite guys. Figured we'd go ahead and honor him with that. I'm gonna let this play through a little bit. Wait for you guys to come on. I don't know why that is, Miss Culbertson. It shouldn't. It's not on my end. I hope it doesn't when we go through. But if you guys can hear me at all and whatnot, give me a couple likes and hit those thumbs up. Hit those thumbs up. What's going on, Chad? My friend. Hopefully Mark will come on, Chad. Come on in, folks. Come on in. How you been, brother? Chad, I was talking to Mark Cassio the other day, and we were joking a whole lot. I tell you, it's pretty funny, brother. Okay, it's not skipping now. That's good. East Ridge is watching. What's going on, brother? What's going on, brother Damon? Thank you guys for coming on again tonight. I think we got a pretty decent crowd. And go ahead and get you guys come on in. And thank you, Buckeye, for coming on. We definitely appreciate it. Like it, share it, invite your friends, if you will. I might go through this just about a half another time. Yes, he is a good guy. And yeah, we want to go ahead and get this thing shared if we can. And I'm going to go ahead and take the time, to copy this, and I'm going to post it, or somebody post it if you can, in the Kentucky mountain site. Somebody, if you will. I'm going to try myself right now, just to make sure that the people I told would be able to, are able to get on. Someone share this in the Kentucky Mountain group, if you will. I'm going to go ahead and bring Mr. Reffett on. I think we've got enough people. And I want to thank you all again. Definitely appreciate you guys. And definitely excited about tonight. So let's go ahead and bring him in. Okay, thank you, Mr. Hurd. Mrs. Hurd. It's adding him now, waiting to add him in, bring him in, so. Let's see if we can, still trying to add him. You guys give us a second. I don't know, sometimes the signal takes a little bit, and I know he'll be on. Yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. And yeah, let's see what's going on there. Don't quite know. It's always like that. Hold on 1 second. Let's try to invite him again. Hold on 1 second. Yeah, you gotta love technology. Dexter, if you're on, give me some thumbs up. If you can see it, I just seen where he was trying to get on. He should be on. I'm pretty sure he is. Let me go back through to check our inventory and see what's going on. If you guys could share this and like this, because I believe Mr. Reffett's got a lot to say, and it's going to be pretty exciting. Let me see. Yeah, I think he did do that. I seen that somewhere. Okay. And if you guys see it when I don't, I've invited him. We're just trying to get him to come in. See if we can't. Yeah, trying to get him to. I'm going live from my phone. I don't want to. I don't want to end it and call him. But somebody call him and tell him to come on. I just literally just got off the phone with him. I think. Hey, maybe looking right now, Dexter. If you're looking, give me some thumbs up. Hit me some likes or whatnot, and let's see if we can't go ahead and chime you in. I just sent an invite to you for you to look, and then it gives me the option to add. Right now, it's not particularly giving me that option. Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you guys for watching. I'm telling you, you guys are awesome, and yeah, make sure you guys are sharing this or whatnot so we can build this audience up. I think we're gonna do pretty good tonight. Anytime frustration comes, we don't let it deter us, because we have to understand that it's only something to prompt us and get us off of our focus. Crabtree, thank you, you're on here. Thank God that you're on here. Thank you from South Carolina. Thank you guys. It's the people that makes it possible, not me. I'm appreciative and humble at the same time. Trying to bring him in, you guys. Talk with him, and I said talk with him an hour ago, and he said he's doing it. Oh yeah, we just got off. He's pretty excited too. No, I don't. Not right off by heart. I'm trying to think. I think he's going to come through his phone. And I tell you what, one of you guys should be good stuff. Should be, yeah, very well should. Can someone give him a call? If I call him right now, I don't know his number by heart. It's in this. I'm thinking that he's probably had. He's going to do that. He just tried to call me. So, okay, let me see. Let me see. Needing someone to try and call him real quick. I don't want to end this feed. We've got a great signal tonight. Call Dexter for me, please. Can you call him right now? He's trying to get on. Crap, she said, peace out. Let's see. Live stream, if so, how? Okay, let's see what's going on there. Okay, thank you, Miss Hurd. That's all I'm needing someone to do, is to call him and just tell him what's going on. Yeah, if I call him, Mr. Hollister, what'll end up happening? I don't have his number by chance off the top of my head, and I don't want to mess this feed up. If I call him, it'll shut this particular feed down, and then we'll have to start completely all over, and there'll be a second video. We already got a pretty good crowd. Okay, yeah, y'all are hilarious. Yeah. And Ms. Hurd, if you get a hold of him, once you get a hold of him, just tell him to go onto my page, as we were saying before. He was just on here. Go onto my page, just open up the live, because I don't want to, like I said, ruin what we have going on right now. We have a good followership right now. Like I said, go ahead and like this thing, share it. Like I said, let me know that you guys can hear what I'm saying. Okay, that's all I was needing right there. Hold on one second. It's hard for you to pump sunshine up the hollow. I can only imagine. Okay. Yeah. It's saying callers is not giving me the opportunity to do that. I mean, to add them. Everybody else is on here. It's not letting him. Once. Sorry about that. I had to jump off and now I'm using my wife's phone. I promise it's at my phone. Hey, what's going on, buddy? Were you able to click on my live? Could you see it? Okay. Okay, yeah, he said, okay, so that's what the situation is. So what about your Wi-Fi? None of that is coming on like you wanted to. Okay, I got you. Okay. Okay, yes, sir. That'll definitely work then. Okay, guys, so we're going audio. I got him right here, but we are going audio. So I'm going to go ahead. You're on right now. And just go ahead, Dexter.
Hey, how you doing?
Good. If you guys can hear him, give me some thumbs up or whatnot. Somebody said it's frozen. I don't. You can't hear it or see it at all, you guys. Somebody else is saying that he can. Okay. Somebody's saying that. All right. So if it's not frozen now and you can hear me, let me know and whatnot. Okay. So Dexter, Reffett, you guys, the time is 7:12. We do apologize for any delays or whatnot. We was trying to get everything situated, but he's on here now. Go ahead, Mr. Reffett. How are you doing this evening?
I'm doing fine.
That's good. Okay. Yes, sir. We're appreciative, sir, that you got a chance to come on tonight, and I'm very glad that you did accept the situation or the call, and we're just really grateful. So I guess now, we did enough time or whatnot. I'll let you just go ahead and jump in and sort of dive in head first and pretty much how you got started. How did you get started in Beagles and around what time? Who influenced you to get in and so forth and so forth?
Well, actually, Tyson, I can never remember a time in my life that there wasn't some kind of hunting dog involved. My earliest recollections of playing with the 5 pups in the front yard, which was back then, we had dirt yards here in the mountains. I remember my mother we used to sweep the yard. We didn't have no grass. But started out with 5, and then when I was about probably 8 or 9, my dad bought me an old grade female beagle. I'm not even sure she was full beagle, but she was a pretty good dog. Not the best conformation, had a kind of a dish face on her, as we would call it. But after that, I went into coon hounds, ran fox hounds, and finally came back to beagles. And here in eastern Kentucky, in that era, when I was a child, if somebody said they had a what they called a papered beagle, you automatically knew it wasn't any good because they were the walking bowling types. They would trail around in the shade tree, under the shade tree all day. But when I was in my late 20s, probably, I started thinking, man, there has to be some good registered beagles, because when we had coon hunted, we kept registered dogs. So I started experimenting with different bloodlines and such, and I thought I had a pretty good pack of hounds. And then I was lucky enough to get a female pup from Tom Dickman in Deerfield, Michigan. And she was directly out of Spur, probably one of the last litters. And that was the year that Jimmy Parker stood him in Michigan. And by the time she was 9 months old, she was better than anything I had. So I actually culled the whole pack, and I liked her so good that I would have bred her back to her father, but by then he had already passed. So we went with Driver, and that was the beginning, and it really worked. That was a good cross. From that cross, I got the Samson dog, who was probably the best reproducer of any canine that I've ever been acquainted with. But anyway, that's the beginnings.
And that's some beginning. So what kind of impact would you say that Samson has had? I mean, we know, some of us know, a great deal of us is on here tonight, of course, know, but to a person that doesn't know, what were some of the things you were looking for while you were actually, putting those dogs together and looking for different things? I mean, you traveled extensively looking.
Right.
What was it that you were looking for?
Well, when I went back into beagles and decided to have registered dogs, the biggest hole in the dogs that I saw in that era was lack of hunt and bottom, heart, endurance, staying ability, that. And the chime bitch, she was, I'm not going to say she's perfect. She was not. I've yet to see a perfect dog. But she had extreme hunt and extreme endurance. I mean, you couldn't make her quit. And I felt like that with her, and I'll back up a second and say, if you've not got hunt and if you've not got bottom or endurance, then you don't have much. I mean, you can drag that hound to the heel every day. And as soon as he quits hurting, he'll quit. So you got to have those two ingredients, I think, as a basis for anything to start with. So I guess that's my answer to that.
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir. And I'd say from the extensiveness of how long you begin to build off of, and how you begin to build off those select dogs, such as dogs like Samson and his mother and so many different dogs, you were able definitely, as we see, to be able to captivate on and solidify those types of traits that you were looking for. And now you've got the name that, at least from all that really have got a chance to gain some kind of sensitivity of who you are and what you stand for, is that extreme hunt. When you say Reffett, that's the first thing you think of is extreme hunt. And to be able to do that and still produce a dog, after all of this time, that still does it, and so forth and so forth, that says something. Some people have taken it to different ways and this and that, and it's still producing and still performing with that same strong, intense hunt. And I think I respect you most as a person that is able to be able to do that. It takes so much dedication, and in so many conversations in times past that you and I have shared and talked with. We laugh and joke, and I talk about how strenuous and how important it is, how prevalent it is for a person to actually be able to establish a family of hounds. And then if they establish a family, to go to another family if they're looking for an out or an out in or so forth. Can you explain to us, or so someone that's looking, we're playing it as if and treating the situation as if everybody that's on the line is a novice. Could you treat this as if, okay, what would you do, or why is creating that family, such as how you did, so important?
Well, first of all, you find, as I did, as I was fortunate enough to find a family or an individual, which in this case, she happened to be a dominant producer too. But once you find that individual and start working with them, then I would look to see, is that animal just a just a fluke? You know, that's the only one that made it out of the last 100 they raised, or you know, or is that a normal? Is that the norm? And in this case, it was the norm. And then when I started, and originally, and you can look back at some of my breedings. Some of my breedings have been very tight, and I think in the beginning you have to be a little bit tighter. And I think it was the American Indians or somebody said there's many paths to the same destination, but this is just the path I chose. And that is when you find that individual, and it is as long as it is a good average of its bloodline, and then you can take that individual, and when I start talking about something like this, I always think of other things, and I get other thoughts going off the side. The other thing is that animal out of a family, or is it an outcross? Is it an outcross individual? The cockfighters call it a battle cross, where you have multiple bloodlines. They have the pure bloodlines, and then they cross pure bloodlines, and they get the battle crosses, which they use, but they never use them for breeding stock. When you get that individual, then if that one is normal for the family, then you go back and look at the family and find another individual, high quality individual. And if you have to, you breed as close as you have to. And that's where the rubber really meets the road. When you breed tight, you can best and the worst, and you can actually see the weaknesses of the line. And again, I don't think there's anything on earth that doesn't have a fault in some way. But at that point, you breed and you select, and you just keep in that line. And I wouldn't recommend any outcrosses for several generations in order to purify that line as best you can. And I'm not saying you have to inbreed ever cross. And I know there's been some talk, and I've seen some examples of the breeding chart of how to establish a line. And, you know, they've got it all set up where you breed this dog to this dog, and you come down here and you breed these next two, and so forth. But my question always was, with that method, is what if you made a cross and it was a complete failure? Are you going to breed one of those individuals, even if it is a failure? So my thoughts was, you just keep purifying the line. And then if you see another line that performs or does something that you think maybe you're a little weak in, you can try that line. Now, I would go on to say that it takes a generation or two to see if you've really been successful. And that's why outcrosses are to be handled so carefully, because once you make that cross, you won't know maybe for 2 generations if it was a success. So you have to somewhat isolate those dogs and not pollute the whole gene pool. So plus, in making an outcross, even if I'm looking for a trait that I might want to strengthen, I look for a dog or a line that is similar in type to my own, so that you won't be making a cross for the offspring, or like, you know, want to look like this, want to look like that, want to be short, want to be tall, want a cold trail, want a bark. You know, you go to a line that is as pure as you can find it, and it has similar traits to your own. But then, when you get, if you're lucky enough to get the results that you wanted in the first generation, the F1s, if you will, then can you carry that the next generation or two? That's the test. Can you carry the trait you wanted if you're lucky enough to get it? and it's still, the line still not fall apart or, pick up a weakness from the other side. And I know that I just give you I walked you around the apple tree, if you will, on that one.
No, sir. You did exactly what you're saying, exactly what we wanted to hear. Yes, sir.
All right. Okay. What's the next question?
Okay. Well, and then like we said, you can flow however you would like. You said some very key things, and I think probably hit on a lot of what people were saying. One gentleman said, ask Dexter if he would. He said, ask Dexter if he would drink from a barrel full of water if it had a thimble full of pee in it.
That is my old. I've preached that for years, and I will tell you the basic, the story behind that. People in breeding anything, and especially in the hounds, I think, they'll look at a dog, and let me say this, and I think you and I have talked about this before, Tyson. I think that jealousy amongst beaglers about each other's dogs is one of the detriments to the advancement of the breed. Mm-hmm. But, if you get a dog that, and I think I said it a minute ago, every now and then you'll get a good dog out of nothing. It'll just crop out. But the likelihood of it reproducing its likeness is pretty much nil. So let's say you get a dog, a pretty good hound, and it's crossed up pretty good, different ways. And there's one side of it, or one little bit of it, that was just junk, pure junk. And people will say, well, it's 3/4 pure or 7/8 pure. But my comeback to that always was, where that question came from. And I heard this from an old cockfighter one time, because believe me, those people knew how to breed.
Yes, sir.
And he was talking about that, and he said, now, let me tell you something, boys. He said, if you had a 5-gallon bucket of pure water, and you put a little bit of piss in it, would you drink that? And most people, unless we were dying of thirst, would say no. And I've always thought about that the same way in breeding my hounds, because if there's a dog in there that I know is weak, I won't breed to it. And I just won't. Because I know that the first few generations of a pedigree are the most important, but trust me, when you least expect it, that one junk dog, you'll get a litter, and them pups act like they were out of that dog. They're so much like it. Mm-hmm. So, and when you spend so many years trying to purify a line, why do you want to take the chance? All of us have limited time. And if you've advanced the line so far, why do you want to take the chance of messing up the whole line with one cross? Mm-hmm. But again, and I said it earlier, that's why when you make outcrosses in any fashion, I think you segregate that outcross material to the side, and you just, I guess they're a project, is what I would say. You're still looking at your mainstream dogs. You can depend on them. You know what they're going to do? Once you get a line established, all you're trying to do is trying to get the most positive traits in each individual that you can. But you know the dogs, and you know what each dog's weakness is. Mm-hmm. So then you try to compensate within the line by going to another dog that is strong in that area. And I will go on to say, I've heard people say that they would like for every dog they had to be just alike. And, you know, that to me is not practical either, because if you do, then if you have a problem, how do you fix it? You know, in any pack, you will have dogs that are, each dog, you know, different dogs have different strengths. But as a pack, they work cohesively together. And that's the way, you know, I try to look at the big picture, Ty, I guess, is the best answer.
Yes, sir.
That was a good question, by the way.
Yeah. Oh, hey, look, and the individual said, "Don't say my name," so you already know who it is.
Well, I don't know. I've got 2 or 3 that have ripped me about that through the years.
Yeah. Look, we you know, and I want to say this, and I want to get. We got about 3 or 4 questions I want to get to, and we got time. You know, we won't speed through this. It's funny because you and I, as much as we talked, and I mean, just hours and hours and hours, and even, you know, more so in the midst. You know, I know what you were after when you were making those crosses, the Mount Zion Pete thing. When most people, they say, well, you know, I got the Mount Zion Pete stuff, or I got this, or I got that, and they don't really so much understand it. We were talking about something that you made a very pivotal key point on that really stuck with me. And it's funny because I've said something very similar. As I too, you know, we raise Gamecocks, and it was funny because you said, Tyson, some people don't even understand. Excuse me, that when they go out, or they think that they're going out, they're perceiving to have gone out. They don't even know that if they go back far enough in those pedigrees, there is something in there that is still somewhere connected, or whatever the situation was. And then you begin to talk about your structure and your system as far as the strategies of your breeding programs in times past, even down to today, and what you were doing and what you were after to maintain the momentum of that Mountain Zion Pete line. And I don't want you to go too far unless you just feel it, but can you explain a little bit of that? Because someone asked the question, I think is going to tie up with what they asked. Someone asked the question, where did you find that hunt in your line? Where in there? And I think that's going to sort of answer that question. If I'm correct, I think, you know, that's going to dance on it, at least to give some kind of general answer, if you'll answer that, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it makes sense, Tyson. You know, Mount Zion Pete, he was obviously a great hound. He was before my time. He was probably ran in the 50s and early 60s. And I was born in 61. So, but I had the opportunity to talk to several people that had actually ran with him, Mr. Jim Ritter being one of them. And he explained to me, and I respected him greatly as a houndsman, because I'd run with him and I'd run with his dogs. And that's something else when you run. It's hard to compare. You know, someone asks you, well, what about this? What's the speed? What's this? What's the hunt? But if you've never hunted with that individual, it's hard to explain something to them because you're not on common ground because you haven't run together. But I had with him, and we talked about it. And, you know, I'm not one of those people that thinks, well, it's Mount Zion Pete, and it don't matter as long as it's Mount Zion Pete. I would wager to say that there's many lines out there that have Mount Zion Pete in them that don't have any hunt. But that's because the breeders did not carry it forward. You know, you can ruin a bloodline in a couple of generations. It don't take long, trust me. All the work that someone else has done can be thrown out the window.
Come unglued.
2 generations. I think you could run a line in 2, maybe 1. Depends on how stupid you got with your cross. But the Pete, yes, like my old giant bitch, she was carrying like 27% Mount Zion Pete. So that would have been roughly the same as a granddaughter. But that particular line had maintained the hunt. So you have to, and I would go on to say also, that anytime I did step out, I never stepped out to a dog that wasn't carrying teeth in the pedigree. But they still had to earn their place in the breed program on their own merit. But the other guideline was they still had to descend from him. So, I don't know. You said be brief. If I didn't answer that question, ask me farther and I'll talk more.
Mm-hmm. No, I think you did. Yes, sir. I think you did. And you know, yeah, that's always good to hear someone really elaborate on that. Someone else asked the question. They said, which is the best spur bred hound that you have seen? Which one did you like the most? Is what they asked.
They're probably asking which is the best Northway.
Mm-hmm.
They're not asking a dog that I bred, I don't think. They're asking of what I've seen.
Oh, let me. I'll just scroll back up. He says, which spur bred hound does he think best suited him? I'm sorry.
Well, let me ask you then, Anderson. Would that include my dogs? Would that be the direct offspring of Spur?
I would say answer it as far as, or address it to come at it as if it was yours, because I don't think, and I think you touched on it. I don't think, and then you and I talked about it, and I don't think that, you know, enough people understand that. I mean, you know, I think this particular gentleman does, but once you've had it, and once you've done what you've done over the years in perfecting that line, and nothing against the gentleman that, you know, had it, or had some pieces, when you begin to do what you were doing with it, I mean, it's inevitable. I mean, nobody can mistake that or say any different that you've done with it, you know, with nobody else has done. So with that, I mean, I would say address it as if they were talking about yours. That's what I would say.
All right. Well, I'm going to say I'll answer that as best I can. It might be too broad, but I'll do the best.
Okay.
When I bred Chime, the original bitch, to her half-brother, Driver, and got Samson, I really feel like that I was fortunate enough to, and you know, as bad as anyone wants to admit it, luck plays a big part.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you do the best you can, and then you hope for some luck too, because there's so many variables in breeding hounds. Because when we breed hounds, it's not like breeding milk cows where we measure milk production. We're trying to get so many things in the same individual. We're trying to get hunt, endurance, nose, correct mouth, conformation, jumping ability, you know, and you could go on. But when I made the first cross and got Samson, was he a perfect dog? No, he wasn't. But, brother, he was a producer. And he actually produced better hounds than he did himself. Than he was himself, rather. He was one of those just dominant producing dogs. He could cover virtually anything. So, once I started using him, and then getting daughters of him and putting them back, you know, like to some of his uncles, I really had great success doing that. And to answer the question directly then, I guess I had an old dog called Dusty that was directly out of Samson, who had the intelligence of farm chef, but was just a great rabbit dog. I mean, he was so personable, and he understood what you wanted, and he wanted to please you so bad. I mean, it was just uncanny. That was one. And let me say this, and some of the listeners are probably going to say, well, yeah, he's just saying that, but it's true. I feel blessed that I have been able to see more, well, I feel, high-class hounds, rabbit dogs, in my lifetime than, the average person would ever see. But, I was looking for them. And the hounds were my life. So I dedicated everything to them. But Dusty, my old hustler dog, White Hustler, White Hustler was probably my favorite dog of all time. Was he the best? In some things, yes, but all of those hounds had their strengths. They were rabbit dogs, but they had their own strengths, and I could go on naming hounds that I thought were first class, but I'd say Dusty, Old Hustler, White Hustler, my Blue Rainmaker dog. I loved him. He did have an outcross in him, as most people know, but I folded it in and it worked really good. So, old sport dog, Palantar. I mean, I'm fortunate enough to be able to name a bunch that I really like. Mm-hmm. And I've got some young stuff coming on that I really like. Mm-hmm. But, what happens with us as hounds people, because we're human, we build attachments to certain dogs because we have certain bonds with them. So it's like when you lose a good dog, you can't never replace that dog because that's an individual. All you can do is move on to the next best one that suits you because you'll never replace that good one. And so anyway, that's my answer to that, I guess.
Okay. All right. And then one individual says, they say, hold on, let me scroll back up. They're coming in pretty fast now. One person says, have you ever seen a cross work one time, all pups turn out nice, and next time the very same cross not work?
Yeah, I think that's pretty common. It is a rare cross that produces the same quality animals every time. Again, because there's so many variables in breeding two dogs together that can happen. But if you get one that produces the same thing every time, that certainly, and I will go back into breeding, that is the cross you look at because those are the animals you want to use. That is that high percentage cross. And those, and I'm not saying that you have to use every time you make a cross, they have to be from a cross like that, but that's the ones you watch for, and that's the ones you use. Mm-hmm. And I guess that's my answer to that one.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. How long, hold on, I want to go back. Let me go back up to this one. Man, they're coming in fast now. One person said, what's your thought process when you pick a pair of dogs to breed?
Okay. Because I am dealing with a line that has a defined gene pool. And again, I hate to say it in this day and time, I feel like there's not that many true families left. Because I think that there's a lot of, and again, and I don't want to sound negative here, but a lot of people breed based on who's winning. And they may have no connection. They may look at a stud to breed to because he's winning, may have no connection to their bitch, but, he's winning. Mm-hmm. So what I do with the defined line is I take a really good bitch that I like, and I evaluate her, and trust me, I'm pretty hard on my dogs. I evaluate hard, and I cull hard. I look at her, and I say, what would I do to improve her? And then I look around at my dogs, and hopefully by then I know what every male is a semblance of what they're producing. And I choose a male that will complement her. And try to, and I said it earlier in the conversation, I try to get the most positive qualities in that litter that I can. Even though they're in the same line, I try to get the most positive qualities, because when we're talking about breeding, I think we're talking about, in my case, having a fine gene pool that is, I've worked on it to purify as best I can. And again, it's not perfect. And that is one type of cross, but then the other cross is an outcross. And you mentioned it, and we talked about it briefly. An outcross, you're doing the same thing. You're taking that individual, that bitch, and you're looking at her and evaluating her, and you're saying, okay, if I'm going to go to an outcross, what male out there will complement her best? And you can't tell that by hunt results. You have to tell it by their offspring, because that's the test. It don't matter what they are. It matters what they're producing.
Mm-hmm. Mm.
So that's my answer to that one.
Okay. Thank you. One gentleman says, how long can you line breed dogs before it is time to outcross? He said, what line works over Reffett's dogs the best?
Boy, that's a mouthful there, guys. That sounds like a dissertation there.
I'm telling you, you got to preach a sermon, though.
Well, I'm going to tell you what. You can't count it. You can't say, or I can't. All right, somebody else may be able to, but I can't. I can't tell you that you breed this many generations, and boom, it's time for an outcross. Because each cross is judged on its own merit. And you may breed tight 5 generations on certain dogs and never need an outcross. But then others, the genes tighten up. I mean, and cram down. And in 3 generations or 2 generations, you may start to see, I guess, what I would call inbreeding fatigue. I think is probably the proper term for it.
Yes, sir.
So you judge it as you go. I mean, and the only way to judge it accurately, I think, is to look at the individuals, at the product. And what dogs cross with them?
All of them.
Well, I've seen good crosses with, and I've seen good hounds of various bloodlines. I mean, and that's something else. If I see a good dog, I'll say it's a good dog. But I've seen crosses. I've seen everything from a patch to Satsuma crossed with them, and they make rabbit dogs. I mean, so I've never seen it totally bad. You know, I'm talking about true field beagles. I'm not talking about bringing a brace to them. I'm talking about a field beagle. They cross well with virtually everything I've seen. Because they're just an honest, you know, blue collar. They're a blue collar beagle is what they are. They just get the job done. You know, they're consistent. They look for the game. They produce game. Are all of them great jump dogs? No. Great jump dogs, you know, to see great jump dogs is just a wonderful thing to see, because a great jump dog will just amaze you. But what I try to do is I want all of them to jump. Everybody jumps some. So even if you're fortunate enough to have a great jump dog and he's sick or having a bad day, then I want them other old boys to step up, you know. You know.
On the show.
But yeah, they need to step on up and let's help out here. So That's the way I look at that.
Mm-hmm. So let me ask you this. So you mean to tell me that I could take a dog that's hunting like the Dickens and losing ears and eyes are gouging and his toenails are coming out, and he just because he hunts extremely hard, that's not a jump dog?
Nope.
What?
Sorry, buddy. I'm sorry. Hate to hurt your feelings on that. Because I've seen dogs that hunt their guts out, be bloody from their withers to their tail, both sides, and couldn't jump a rabbit in a hunting season.
Lord have mercy. Man. Man. Now, and what's the difference? What's the difference? Is there a difference? And I know it's a loaded question. What is the difference? Is there a difference between jumpability and huntability? One that hunts hard and one that's actually able to extremely jump the rabbit successfully over and over again, no matter the situation.
All right. Now, and again, everything I'm saying tonight is just my opinion.
Mm-hmm. But it's needed.
I'll tell you what I think the difference is. It's the same as a great coon dog that can tree a layup. You know, every dog can't do that. They might hunt, and they may be able to run the crap out of a coon track. But you know what? Some of them can't locate. And that's what I think it's locating ability. The great jump dogs I have seen jump off air scent. They lift their head, they look, and they'll look around, and they will inevitably go to the most likely place to jump a rabbit. And then they'll catch wind scent and just walk in and jump like it's, like it's nothing.
Yes, sir.
Whereas that other dog, the dog that uses his nose all the time, he'll get out there in somebody's lawn and hunt from 7 o'clock to 12 and act like he's going to jump a rabbit any minute. And there hell ain't even no place for the rabbits to sit. You know, it's intelligence and intelligent. I would say that jump dogs are more intelligent than the average dog. Mm-hmm. But they are a cut above. They're different. Mm-hmm. They're different, but it's because they hunt different, and they catch a wind scent. They use their eyes. They not only use their nose, Tyson, they use their eyes.
Mm-hmm. All their senses.
All their senses, even their ears. They hear something moving. It's a different animal. But you got to demand hunt. But the really outstanding jump dogs are not, a dime a dozen. They're like an aberration almost. They just come. But you got to keep breeding rabbit dogs to get them. Mm-hmm. You got to keep breeding rabbit dogs. Mm-hmm.
And I think oh yeah, absolutely. I think everybody just said the same thing. They were coming on saying the exact same thing I would say it. Rabbit smart, what you were saying, and it's one person asked the question. They said, "What traits do you look for in a family of hounds when you choose an outcross?"
When I'm looking for an outcross?
Yes, sir.
Well, first of all, I look for a family of hounds that are a family, if I can, that are a family hounds. Look for those ones that don't have that cup of piss in them. And I look for the basics, hunt, tenacity, or bottom. I always call it a big heart. They got a big engine. They got a big engine. Mm-hmm. And that's what but they got to have somewhat pure. And B, I want to see a bunch of them. Mm-hmm. So that I want to see that dog that I'm thinking about breeding to. I want to see that dog's offspring. You know, I want to see if he's producing what he is himself. Because if he's not, you're wasting time. You're wasting time, feed, money. If their offspring are not, you know, similar to their sire or their mother, then your chances of getting what you're looking for are I wouldn't bet those odds. Put it that way.
Yes, sir. One person said, ask Dexter what he thought about the producing power of field champion Woodstock Penny.
I think Woodstock Penny was a great producer. She was the reason that I actually brought Rockstar here and stood him at stud for roughly a year. He was a good producer. I ran him. He was a good running dog. And he had been run on large pack, and they had never really handled him in the field per se. So he didn't handle good. So I got to the point that I dreaded turning him loose when I went hunting, because I knew it would be 13, 14 hours before I picked him up. Because he was hard to run, but he was a good rabbit dog, and he was a good producer. He was out of Penny, obviously, but Penny was crossed to multiple males and produced out of multiple males. What was it? You know, Palmateer's Jack. She was bred 2 once. Then she produced Granapy. She produced Rockstar. And I think, I don't know some of the other crosses, but I think she was a great producing bitch. I do.
Yes, sir. One person said, what advice do you give to someone just getting started with trialing and breeding?
Well, you know, that's kind of a hard question. Trialing, when you go to the trial, if you are, and this could be construed 2 different ways, I guess. Are you going to trial a breed? That could be construed that way. Or are you going to go to a trial to pick a dog, a bloodline? And I really wouldn't recommend that, because under typical conditions, you know, you're putting a group of strange hounds together. And that's, you know, you're always going to see some things in that's not pleasant. And then you got judging. You know, whether they mean to or not, judges, you know, certain judges judge one way, certain judges judge another way. They have their own set of guidelines, even though we have a rule book to go by. And I don't think that's a good place to pick to pick what line you're going to run. I think you need to go out there, if you can, even if you can't go to the breeder, go to someone that's got that line of dogs and watch them in the field. Go out there and hunt with them a while. Stomp some brush. You know, get dirty. Go in there and stomp some brush with those dogs and see how they handle different situations. You know, hunting situations, is what I'm saying.
Yes, sir.
So, and you and I have talked about that before, but anyway, that's the way I'd answer that. No, that's a good place to go and meet people, have a good time, watch some hounds. Maybe that's the beginning to get you interested in certain lines, but then go and watch those dogs. Watch dogs out of them. And hunt with them. Go on a hunt, a real hunt, you know?
Yes,
and decide if you like them then. That's the way I would do it.
One person asked the question, they said, and thank you for that. One person asked the question, they said, ask Dexter which format or registry does he think promotes a gun dog?
Well,
now you promise you're gonna be diplomatic now. I'm joking.
I told you I'd be diplomatic when you asked me. never accept brace. And that, boys, if there's any brace people out here listening to me, I'm happy that you like your dogs. That's good. You know, you feed what you like. That's good. But for a hunting dog, if I could put them all together, I could probably come up with a really good set of rules. But, you know, they all have strengths. But again, there's a bunch of weaknesses in some of them. Well, in all of them. For the diehard rabbit hunter that just wants to go out there and have a good time. Mm-hmm. Because, you know, things like, and I'm not going to talk about any registry, but I'm going to point out some points that I think are issues. Checks. You know, if you got a huge number of checks in a, well, not so much, I guess I want to have to get my feet wet here. A little pack. Oh, God. I'm going to get some feedback on this, I know. A little pack, you're rewarded, you know, strike jump is awarded a minimal amount of points, and then you got points for checks. If a pack comes back with a huge score now I'm saying, then that means that they probably didn't run much rabbit. And if they got a huge number of checkpoints, that means that they were broke down more than they were running in a 1-hour hunt. Now, on the other hand, we go to, you know, little SBO, AKC. I don't think there's enough award for hunting and jumping and so forth. And I could go, you know, but there's no need to go farther, because all I'm going to tell you is, me and you have discussed this, and I think we can sum it up this way. The way I gauge a rabbit dog is, if I were hunting to feed my family, then I wouldn't really care about style. All I care about is for that dog to produce a rabbit and him to put an end to the race so that I could kill it or catch it. And if he can't do that, he ain't no rabbit dog. That's the bottom line. So anyway,
pretty basic.
There's my answer.
That's pretty good. I mean, hey, I'm glad you found your way out of that bag. I tell you, yeah.
I dug out that one in the time.
You did. And then look, let me ask you this. One person said this, and I won't go on to. We won't linger there too long and exhaust that or overly exhaust this particular point as a case in point as far as jumping. One person, I don't want to try to go over anybody's. Let me scroll back up. One person asked the question. They said they definitely agree with what you said. As far as the jumping, they said, yes, I agree with the wind sending 100%. But if I might add, turning a cold track hot helps a lot in the jump. They said, ask Dexter about turning a cold track hot to jump.
All right. That's a good question. You know, I don't think that you can ever get enough notes in a hound. As long as you got the brains to back it. You know, a cold track, it depends on how they work a cold track. And don't get me wrong, I am not adverse to a dog opening on a track. On a cold track. Because the dog that gives you a little mouth in the morning will be the dog jumping your rabbits that afternoon. You'd be jumping them that morning too, but in the afternoon, most time them other slackers done fell back. He'll be still jumping rabbits for you and not have any extra mouth. But it's a blend of mouth, brains. I want as much nose as I can get in a hound, that will use it accurately and has the mind to use it properly. Because I believe in a dog with a good nose. I do. So I think that may be a short answer on that.
Yes, sir.
I'm not sure.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I'd say so. You know, we talked about this all the time, and I don't want to get into everything that we've talked about because we talked about a lot, but I do want to get into this. One thing that a lot of people dance around and they don't really deal with it a whole lot is the fact that a person goes out, they say, man, you know what? I got a dog that's got some extra mouth, this and that, so forth and so forth. Or let me back up. They won't even say they got extra mouth. They'll say, I got a dog that pops off a lot. Man, that dog's got a huge nose. And I oftentimes go about it one way, but I want to hear what you would say. Just because a hound has a huge nose, and you just touched on it, but does that mean that that hound has to pop off just because the nose is exceptional? Why is that? I mean, can you just, you know?
Well, I'll tell you what, I think that's, and you're really getting into the separation of hounds here, because, and I wish I could see more of this, but there's some hounds that got a big nose. They can walk in and just get to work, and in a short period of time, they got to wrap it up and going. And I think that we talked about jump dogs there briefly. I think the ability to lift their head and use their senses, and again, there's where the brain comes in. You know, that dog is a cut above. Now, can he produce that? You know, to me, that's been one of the most elusive things, is seeing hounds that were excellent jump dogs that could produce excellent jump dogs. And I've been working on that, trust me, for a long time. But and I think I've made some advancements, but that's it. It's the brains behind it. I mean, they got to know to not just move around in one spot. Even if they give some extra mouth, they need to pick it up and let's get on with this, boys, and not move around in one spot. Because if I give a hound 4 hours and let him trail, he'll eventually jump it, but I won't be happy. Well, not all of them would jump it, but let's say one worked a track for 4 hours and jumped a rabbit. Well, he jumped one, but that's a little bit outside my acceptance, my tolerance zone. You know, it's like, and again, I'm going to refer back to coonhounds again. It's like the coonhound that you drop out and put him on a feeder track, and he follows every track, and it'll take you 7-8 hours to treat one coon, as opposed to a dog you drop out on a track and he gives you 1 or 2 locating balls to tell you where he's at, what he's doing, and then he starts cutting the track. And now, don't get confused with cutting the track with little back. Totally different. I'm talking about, he knows that's a toll track. He's telling you where he's at. He's telling you he's got a line. But then he starts looking for where it left, not following every feed track. He's getting out there and he's hustling. And he's saying, okay, it was here, and I don't want to follow all this stuff. Where do I pick up that track and move on out of here? Now, that's the hound I'm looking for.
Yes, sir. Now, let me ask you this. At what point do you consider opening trailing a fault? And if you do even consider that, why?
Well, you know, and I'm going to have to go say a couple of things here. First of all, some people it may be a fault. To other people, they might like to sit around and listen. If they do, that's good. I love it. But, you know, to me, 3 minutes isn't enough. I'm figuring about 15 minutes. I could tolerate about 15 if he can get it done. If it's rough cover and scent's bad, and that's something else we're not talking about. We gotta clarify what we're talking about here. We're talking about scent conditions.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Because on a bad scent condition day, that hound that's got the big noses on them going to keep you alive until the frost melts off, or whatever happens to the barometer rises or whatever. In order for you to have a head up scent, that hound's the one you're going to have to hunt with, or that group, until things get better. So you have to give them a little bit of leeway as to what they're doing. And I'm going to tell you this: if you got a good hound, just go with it. If you got a hound you trust and you know what he is, don't fault him for doing something like that, because he's trying to please you. Mm-hmm. But that's all he can do.
I love that. Yes, sir. Great explanation. I like that. Yeah. Look, I got to throw him under the bus. Abshire asked the question. He says, if done over, would Turbo be in the program?
Jimmy's just trying to hassle me. You know that.
He didn't say anything to
Turbo was not a bad dog. He wasn't a bad dog. I've seen him run. I've seen his mother run. Turbo, he wasn't a bad dog. Jimmy probably won't be pleased with me saying that, but when he was young, he was a little rough, but he smoothed out. And if you could get him through first series, he's about dead on that second series. But anyway, now everybody's going to hate me. I'm sorry.
I think another thing is a lot of people say, well, I gotta have foot, gotta have a dog that's blistering fast. All the guys, man, the dogs I'm wanting to go to, Tyson, or the dogs I want to go to, Dex. Man, these dogs, I gotta have that foot. I gotta be able to be in front, lead 50 yards. I want to take this tight line bred dog over here and cross over to this over here and do this, man. I'm trying to go, man. And so many people give up so much, I want you to chime in on that a little bit as far as keying in on exactly focus and and what a person is actually, looking for, a sense of, apart from just, and I think you touched on it earlier, just going with it because, this sounds good, that sounds good, this sounds good, that sounds good. How they pretty much, and I'm going to simplify the question. I'm going to go around and just simplify it after this. How so many people go all the way around and try so many different things in order to pretty much not appease what they really, were after. They may have bred a particular line for 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years. And I'm not talking about don't be open-minded, because, I definitely promote that, that a person, be open-minded and don't be kennel blind. But we're not talking about kennel blindness here. And you and I have talked about this. We're talking about sensibility. We're talking about, consciousness that, okay, I've got a good thing going. I'm not going to ruin or taint or jeopardize the integrity of a good thing for a phase. And that's what we've talked. I mean, it's something that you probably have been known for. We ought to get it encrypted in the sidewalk of Hollywood, because you've talked about it so much. But I want you to elaborate on that a little bit in talking about that integrity that has to be stayed, as the core, as a primary, if you will. I think you know what I'm saying, or type of thing.
Well, man, that was an open-ended question right there, Ty. You just blew my mind, but I think I got a grasp of it. I'll hold on here. Let's see. If you got a line that is pleasing you, doing what you want, and the phase is for a faster hound, or a rougher hound. Now, I think we need to stop right here and lay down some definitions.
Please.
Okay. Now, hound to run a track as fast as he can, but know when he can't run it no faster. Because when he runs it any faster, he starts creating checks. And any hound that creates a tremendous amount of any hound that impedes the forward progress of the pack needs to come up. So if you got a fast hound on the point, and he's jerking your hounds around and jerking them off, then that hound needs to come out of there in a hurry. Probably to never be put down again.
Mm-hmm.
As opposed to a rough hound, which that fast hound that needs to come up is a rough hound anyway. Rough just means, in my opinion, that they're running so fast, all they're wanting to do, they're just racing.
Mm-hmm.
That's all they're doing.
Preach, brother, preach.
I've seen hounds that would come into a check that they probably created, cut the pack, go out 150 yards, either pick up that track or another track, and blow it out, and then cut themselves, come off the track and try to outrun the rabbit and cut it again. They just weave. Now that dog right there needs, I hope there's no PETA people on the line, but that dog right there needs killing. It does. And, I'll take all the speed I can get, but I want them to run the rabbit, and I want them to know where they last smelled it so they can snap back.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want that many checks.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have to walk them all, but honey, I want them to get in there and punish that rabbit a little bit, push him out of them bars. Mm-hmm. And you ain't going to do that with a cutting dog.
Mm-hmm. But accountability is not important though, right?
It is if I'm going to eat tonight. Right?
You better believe it.
Well, enough said, as they say.
Yeah, yes, sir. You better believe it. Abshire asked the question. He says, ask Dexter if he liked the decision with Iron Eagle. He says, I wanted to breed my female to Samson, and he told me no.
Yeah. Well, that's a good story, and I love Jimmy. We've been friends for years. It's amazing that two assholes like us could be friends this long, I imagine. But anyway, he had Sire, and she was Junie's older sister. I think she was out of the older litter. He brought her up and said, Dexter, I want to breed to Samson. And I said, and Jimmy, I know Jimmy, you're on here.
Oh yeah, he's on here cutting up.
I want to admit something to you, Jimmy. If you remember me asking you this question, I said, Jimmy, and this backs up a comment I made earlier, Ty. I said, Jimmy, if you was going to improve your bitch, what would you do to her? He said, well, she's a little tight. I already knew that. He probably didn't think I did. I knew that. I knew it. And I said, man, let's not breed her to Samson. I said, if we do, them pups won't even bark. And it wasn't that Samson didn't produce dogs with mouth and, the right amount of mouth. I just knew the two families. Mm-hmm. And I'll point out that Star was just an extended member of the family. See, a lot of people might not understand that, but that was the same family. Mm-hmm. But there was a little different in there, but they all went back to Mount Sinai, and they were a similar family. And I said, let's not breed her Samson. And I said, I've got our eagle. And breeder to Arn Eagle. And I said, I tell you what, if they don't make rabbit dogs, you don't have to pay me nothing for season. And he bred her, and the rest is history, as they say, because his Abby bitch may have been one of the greatest bitches in the Midwest.
Man, that's saying something.
So it worked. It worked.
Mm-hmm.
And and I will go on to say, I'll stroke his ego a little bit. Jimmy is a great houndsman. He's a good trainer, good handler, and a great conditioner. He's tough.
Mm-hmm.
So there's that answer.
Yes, sir.
So,
now you know we're gonna have to count our blessings, because I got a timer in my right hand, hypothetically speaking, that I know he's just gonna cut up in just about 2.5 seconds. Abshot's gonna go off. One guy said, how do you judge hunt? Busy, producing, afternoon jumps, hustle, etc. type of thing.
Well, that's a loaded question out there.
Mm-hmm.
It is. Because now we're getting into how good a jump dog you got. You know, I expect everybody to stay busy. And when I say stay busy, I'm not talking about turning them off the tailgate and they go into the next county. I'm talking about them hunting with you and cutting ground and looking for a rabbit. Now, some of those dogs that hunt hard are not going to produce that much that afternoon. Maybe they don't have the nose, or I like to say the locating ability. But if they get in there and hustle, you know, it increases the odds of them jumping something. And then I've also had hounds in this line who hunted good in the morning, but that afternoon they kicked into a new level and picked your pack up. Because when I think about hunting, I'm thinking about not one individual. I'm talking about packs, a cohesive pack. Each dog has its place. If you got a good pack, each dog, or two or three, you know, they have their place. And, you know, some of them are dogs that in the evening kick into a new gear. You know, maybe it's their, and I'm really not smart enough to figure this out yet, but maybe it's because of the sit. I don't know. But I want every dog to work in a workmanship type, you know, manner. Just because we hunted all day long, you know, some of them dogs that hunted that hard that morning, I want them to hunt that hard today. I want everybody to hunt. I'm not one of those people that says, you know, well, they hunted hard this morning, but they're staying in the path this evening. You know, they need to get in there and at least act like they're doing something, because nobody's going to be standing around. So, you know, I expect every dog to get in there and hunt in a workmanship type manner. But dogs will trade places during the day if you got a good pack. That if you got a good pack, you know, you'll have dogs that really are phenomenal in the morning. Maybe not as good in the afternoon, but they're still trying. But then there's other dogs that they done good that morning, but this evening, man, they're kicking in, and what they're doing is picking the momentum of the pack up. You know, because if they get in there and start searching hard, then the rest of the pack will fall in too. It's like, my God, you know, let's do it. So you get the hardest thing to produce, in my opinion, is a good cohesive pack of dogs.
Now we get into the meat.
What was that?
I said now we get to the meat, the bread, meat, and potatoes of this thing. I'm telling you right now, you are saying some good. See, that's what people need to hear. And folks, I don't want to say this. I don't say this with any disrespect or disregard, but as we're talking, this is why bringing on people that have something to say is so important versus just bringing on somebody that's going to talk about a bunch of field champions that mean nothing and they ain't going to help us do nothing. That's what this thing is all about. So you bring somebody on and talk about phrases and terminology like cohesiveness, you know, or talking about togetherness, phrases like that.
Yep.
When you're running a pack of hounds, that's important to talk about. Not just what's hot and what's not and what did and what didn't, but those are the terms that I wanted to hear, and that's what I was after. And I'm so glad that you're on here tonight because so many people need to hear that and understand the explanation of that because it is detrimental that we are able to tell somebody what you just said. You said that if you have a certain pack or a good pack, let me rephrase it. If you have a good pack, quote unquote, that toward the end of the day, dogs may be able to take the load off of this one and fill in the gap for that one, almost like a family. You know, but it also, yeah, you're coming in though, in a sense that you're breeding for gun dogs. And this is over. That's why I'm so happy that you're on tonight. You're breeding with a gun dog mentality, with a I eat or I die mentality. And that kind of concentration and that kind of focus is what's going to get you a rabid dog that at the end of the day, if it shows you exceptionalism in the hunting field, you're able to go to a trial on any given day. And whether you walk away with the ribbon or you walk away with air, you know for a fact that you're not deterred in what you just said of cohesiveness and togetherness. And that is what it's all about. And I'm so, you hit something right there when you said that. You hit a nerve in me when you said that. It makes so much sense. I'm so glad you said that. God Almighty, I'm so glad you said that. And it just makes sense. So many people need to hear that. And I think Mr. Reffett is going to take people like yourself to go and say things. And that's what this segment is about, people, to have people like this come on here and say what he just said in the way that he just said it. I'm telling you. It's what's going to be needed. And let me ask you this question, unless you had something else to say, I want you to go ahead. I want you to exhaust that point. If you have anything else, just flow. And if you don't, I want to go into something else.
Well, I would just end with saying on that if you don't, if the person breeding dogs has never seen that, it's hard for them to judge. It's hard for them to judge. It's hard for them to understand. But, you know, the 2-hour hunter ain't going to see that.
God Almighty. Dexter, I'm going to have to send you an offering. Good God Almighty. Preach, sir.
I mean, unless you see it from the start to the finish, you don't know what the end result is. So that gives you a better opportunity to judge the hounds, which hounds are worthy of breeding, and which are, you know, they'll please somebody that takes, you know, that buys a hound, sticks him in a pen, and they keep him there all year. At Thanksgiving, the boys take him out and shoot a little bit, as opposed to a hardcore hunter. And I'm not throwing that at anybody because anybody wants to do that. You know what? I respect that because that's family time. But that they don't see the entire hound. You gotta put them. You gotta push them to the wall to see the result.
So you mean to tell me running twice a week for 45 minutes, I'm not gonna see what I need to see?
Nope. You ain't gonna see it. You ain't gonna see it. You ain't even worked the edge off them hounds for 45 minutes, huh?
You may not recall this conversation, but I remember we were talking one time and you said something along the lines of, there have been guys, a lot of people that came to me and said, you know, do you have any dogs? Do you have any puppies? Do you have this? Do you have that? And I remember you were going through and you did a brief analysis. And this is so important. You did a brief analysis and a brief walkthrough of qualifications before you allowed that person the access to your dogs. you asked the question, you said, do you run a whole lot? Or how long do you run? Or you just get into dogs and so forth? And I forgot what we were talking about, but it was around keeping that integrity of it. When people were saying better to breed and all those different things. And we're not talking about just trialing or just this or that, but specifics, basics, things like over accessible. Let me say it like this: making over accessible a line of hounds, a family of hounds, puppies, started dogs, grown dogs, finished dogs, whatever the situation is. When we take, basics out of the equation and we begin to do things such as the opposite of what I'm talking about and what we're talking about tonight, I believe that it puts a lot of what's going on and a lot of what, not so much what's going on, a lot of what we're trying to solicit to a breeding and to a family of hounds, a tradition, to a culture, that we put it under a vicious microscope. And we don't understand that. And what you just said is so powerful. And that's what I was going to say. You said, Tyson, a couple guys called me and they would ask my dogs, ask my dogs. He said, you know what? I'm not in it to just sell. Sometimes at one time I wouldn't let a lot of guys get my dogs. And I said, really? And we went into that. I don't know if you remember that. Larry's crazy. I don't think you remember. You may remember that conversation and how you said that. And I'm telling you, you earned such a respect for me, not just because you had Samson, different dogs, but because of you to say that. I don't think enough people do that today. They would just say, oh man, this guy seems good. He's spending, thousands of dollars and we're just gonna keep on letting it pump out. But to say something like that, I mean, to me, that's monumental, because I know your heart is in this thing. I know it's more than just time.
I have, my God, man, I've devoted my life to these dogs. I have given up so many opportunities in life. I wouldn't recommend recommend this level of devotion to anyone, but I have. But now let me go on and say something, and it may be outside of the realm of this question. And that is, I have been fortunate enough here because we have a lot of great beaglers here in Eastern Kentucky, tough beaglers. And I have tried to put hounds in the best positions I could, because I'm telling you, there's great beaglers all over the world, all over the country. My best friends were developed through beagling, but you got to put hounds with people that will push them and develop them, because one person cannot do it alone. You have to be able to put hounds with people you respect, people that push them, people that will handle them correctly, for you to see what you're breeding. Mm-hmm. Because if you just constantly breed and sell, and you never follow up on the hounds, how do you know if you accomplished what you were after?
Mm-hmm. And in that sense, you're talking about succession.
Yeah, succession, satellite breeders. Don't never be ashamed if you produce a good hound and you put him in someone's hands and they put another kennel name on it. Don't be ashamed to go and breed to that dog, because you produced him. You produced him. They can say anything they want to about you, and sometimes you have to swallow your pride. They can say anything, and they'll take him in a different direction or whatever. But if you see a great one that you let go and take advantage of it, because you're looking for the great individuals to use. I've had, through the years, my God, I'm just going to start rattling some names. Like Delmer Thornsbury was a great handler, great trainer, great friend, and could get as much out of a young dog as anybody I've ever seen. Ricky Prater, wonderful beagler, my God, first rate. Paul Melissa Hurd's been with me here lately. They're great people, great houndsmen. Alden Maynard was a great one. And please, if that I just named 4 or 5, and all the others that were there, Tip Marshalls, my God, wonderful beagler. Larry Kimbrough in Tennessee, great beagler. Lee Perkins in Tennessee, great beagler. And, you know, let them put those good hounds with them and let them develop them and watch them. And then don't be ashamed to go and breed to their dogs or borrow a bitch. And we do a lot of that. We share. I will have to stress that. Do not be selfish. Mm-hmm. Because I have never seen a selfish beagler ever have the truly outstanding hound. It's the people that are in the brotherhood, that believe in what you're doing, that believe in that hound, that want the good hounds. You know, you bring in. It's like a family, you know. Mm-hmm. And if more people done that, if more people shared and actually gave credit where credit was due, there would be better hounds. Mm-hmm. I got off on a tangent there, but anyway, I believe that.
Yeah, I believe it. I know you're right, and you know, it's like I said, it's just needed to hear what you just said. One person asked a question. They said, exactly how long do you think, as far as you personally, how long do you think, you know, is the adequate time to run a dog? What kind to do it justice?
That's a good question. Good question. It depends on what you're looking for. Mm-hmm. I'm going to have to put it depends on thing in there. You know, young dogs, you don't run them in extended stretches because they get bored. If you're talking about less than year old pups, you run them and that's when you start your selection process and you watch. And then when they get, you know, up young adults, you know, you push them a little harder. It's not uncommon sometimes for us to run 12 to 14 hours once a hound's developed. Mm-hmm. You know, he's physically able to handle it. And that's the stress test there. That's the test. You know, the young adult thing, it's watching the pups and seeing which ones have the ability or the ones that are troublemakers and need to come out and be dealt with. But after you refine them, you get them up, and they are, and I'm not talking about one you laid in the pen for 6 months and you take him out running 12 hours. No. I'm talking about after he's got the muscles on to do it, then put him to the stress test. Is he going to come out? Mm-hmm. But after that, once you get a dog really conditioned, you can cut back on the hours. You don't have to run them so many hours at one time. Because if you do that consistently, you start to break down muscle. So you judge it. You do it in phases. And you judge in phases. Because in that first phase, like those young adolescents, you're just looking for the problem. You look for the good ones. You look for the ones that cause problems. You start to sort through them. Then you get into the adolescents. At that point, if one don't have enough heart to stay, then he needs to be told, mm-hmm. and so forth. And you just keep. It's a progressive thing.
Mm-hmm. One individual asked the question. It says, "Ask Dexter what he thinks is the difference in hunters that's just breeding and people who are serious breeders."
That are just hunters and breeders? Okay. Well, most just hunters.
Or just hunters that's just breeding versus those that are serious breeders.
Well, a lot of times, the ones that are just breeding They're just market. They're market people.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they're producing pups, and again, this is probably the most controversial question you've asked me tonight. I probably get a lot of you'll get a lot of feedback on this. You know, the ones that are just breeders, we'll call them, they really are producing for the market.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the time, not all the time, but a lot of times, they don't breed a line. They breed to whatever's popular. Because if they're selling, then that means they had to produce a product that's marketable in that period of time. So the stud dog that was popular last year may not be popular this year. So they'll probably use this popular stud first over bitches out of that popular stud dog from last year. And then the serious hunters don't really pay a lot of attention to that. Mm-hmm. They're looking at what's really producing, what's pleasing them, and they will be more likely to breed a family. And I know that answer probably won't go well with a lot of people, but that's the way I feel about it. So
it sounds like
there we are.
Sounds sufficient enough to me. It's going to have to suffice. Now, when breeding a family, someone asked this question earlier, and I meant to get to it. I do apologize, you guys. I know how close I would go. What's the closest you prefer before it's considered too close?
Another good question. That's an open-ended question, a loaded question, and a good one. And I'm going to tell you what, there is no too close if I think it's right. Mm-hmm. But that's based on my own opinion. Mm-hmm. So, you know, I've made father-daughter, mother-son, you know, all those full mates and so forth. And I make a cross depending on what I think will advance me the most at that point in time. Now, having said that, if you look at my pedigrees now, once I established my family, I didn't feel it necessary to breed so close because, you know, a lot of those crosses were to cram it down, if you will, to see what was going to happen and to get the junk, if there was any junk in there, and then hopefully not junk because I've never had no total junk here. But if there was negatives, I wanted to see them. I wanted to pull them out and just advance with the ones that didn't have it. But once you get a family established, I think, and it depends on how many hounds you keep too. But that's where having satellite breeders with you, working with you, comes in. That you don't have to breed so close if you can step out to one of your buddies' packs that is breeding just like you. Mm-hmm. So, and that's where cooperation comes in amongst breeders. So, you know, once the family's established, you know, I breed cousins all the time and so forth. And I like to say this line has stood up to close breeding as good as any line I've ever seen. So I don't know if I answered the question or not, but that's my answer on that.
Absolutely, it absolutely did. Now people were not suggesting that you breed your cousin. I'm joking. Man, that's good stuff. Let me ask you this. I want to back a little bit. When it comes to you know, the time roundabout roughly when you went up and you traveled extensively and you begin to see some great hounds. I know you saw some great hounds. I won't go in and say what was your favorite dog because we already know. You know, yours is a typical. Your answer is a typical of a typical houndsman. that can say, you know, well, I don't really necessarily have a favorite X, Y, and Z. But in those times, absolutely, you guys, in those times, what were you seeing? I'm not talking about what you saw to breed and bring back, and I don't want to rehearse and keep going back over that. What were you seeing in dogs like those previous hounds, you know, and that laid the, you know, a piece of a puzzle of a foundation, or even different dogs that you saw outside of Northway that came down to be Reffett and so forth, and different dogs that were out there, Birch Lake and this dog and that dog and different dogs. What was it that you were seeing out there of those times, or in those times, amongst so many different beaglers that had such an old feel to the tradition versus, and I know you haven't been out there a whole lot now, versus what you're seeing today and the feel that is being presented of the millennial?
Well, you know, first and foremost, I always look for a rabbit dog, and I always try to judge, even in the, you know, even in a field trial situation, you try to, in your mind, imagine what that dog would be like in the field. So, you know, I've seen a lot of dogs come and go, a lot of styles, a lot of phases. So what I was always looking for is a rabbit dog. Again, what I was talking about. Now, there's still good rabbit dogs out there. I mean, like I said, I've seen good rabbit dogs out of many bloodlines, but the trends and trialing had a lot to do with that. So, you know, at one time, they might be looking for this, and another time, they might be looking for that. But what you have to do as a breeder is to rise above all that and say, which of these hounds, if I was going to go out there and stomp some brush with them for 8 or 9 hours, which of them do I think would be a rabbit dog? And, you know, sometimes you get it right, sometimes you don't. But it's your perception. It's your perception. It don't matter what the format is, because the dog that got picked up 6th in a trial may be the one that you said, you know what, that's a pretty good hound. And a lot of times I've seen that happen. The dogs that, you know, that were rabbit dogs were picked up. But then then I'm going to have to say this, and this is going to be a tough one. We'll raise some anger on this, I imagine. How many times have you seen the winner's pack not be able to run a rabbit? What about that?
I've seen it time after time after time, because they pick up the dog that was keeping it going.
And I imagine you have. And I have too. So I guess that's all I want to say about that.
Oh my goodness! Oh, but look, Tim Robinson's on here. He says, "Be careful." Yeah, look, diplomatic.
My old buddy Tim, I'm telling
you. One guy says, "Ask Dexter if he thinks hounds that are open marked have a harder time in thick cover and heat than the blue tick or black and tan hounds."
No, actually, your open mark hound should be able to stand heat there. Your blue ticks and your black and tans tend to heat up more in the sun. So that the open mark dog typically has a slight advantage, I think, in harsh sunlight. Like if you're running in the evenings. But now, with that being said, if a black and tan or a blue tick or any dark colored hound has a big enough heart, he'll be right there at the end. Even if it strokes him out, he'll still be there. So, and color has never been a huge issue with me. I know I produce a lot of red and white hounds. I love a black and tan. Actually, I love about any color that's a rabbit dog. Let me put it to you this way, Ty. I ain't never seen a good rabbit dog that was a bad color.
I love it. I love it. I'm going to ask you a tough question that just came to me. And I know it's going to be tough. It's open-ended, but it's going to be tough. If you had to change entirely what you've done as far as in choosing a bloodline, was there a bloodline in those times and in those particular settings that if you had to go back and turn the hands, what would you do? Is there another one out there? Who would you have used if it is?
Well, first of all, I ain't got enough time to do that. But and if I will say this will be the only line that I've done this most of my life now, and I hope that I can continue to do it till I die. I hope to, because at this point I've thrown away so many other things just to do this that I have signed in. Trust me, I'm all in. Mm-hmm. But I hate to say it, man, but at the time I was started, there wasn't another line that suited me like this. So, I mean, this line fit. They suited me. They fit, like putting on a glove, man. It's like, yeah, I can work with these. And I want to go ahead, and I meant to say this earlier, and this is totally off topic, I think. But when I started with these dogs, close breeding was looked down on much more than it is now. Because I'm going to tell you, a lot of jealousy in people. When I started, a lot of people said, he's inbreeding them to death. He's inbreeding them to death. My God. And then when I did choose to make a selective outcross, they'd say, my God, he's outcrossing them to death. He's outcrossing them to death.
So
I don't think you can have it both ways. But there will always be those that will talk about you no matter what. And I've accepted that, and I really don't care, to tell you the truth. I guess that's one advantage of getting old. You care a lot less about what other people think. And I don't know if I answered your question, but that's the way I'll leave that one.
Okay, well, I've got to throw another monkey wrench in there. If you had to outcross today, if you absolutely had to, that was what you had to do. What is there anything out there today that you would have to choose?
I tell you what, I'm going to refrain from answering that one, Tyson. I've tried a few outcrosses in the last few years. Some will work, some haven't. They've never been blended into the main line, but anybody that follows my pedigree will see what I've tried. But, I'm not going to talk about any one line of dogs or anything like that.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Absolutely.
Because that's out of respect for other breeders.
Absolutely. That's crazy.
Yep.
Yeah, and now let me ask you this. I'm going to kill two birds with one stone. When I'm going to say two dog names, and when I say both of them, I'm not comparing the two of them, but I'm just saying it because one said ask about this dog, and the other one said ask about this dog. I'm just going to say it like this. When I say these two names, what is the first thing that comes to your mind as far as description and so forth and so forth? Blue Rocket and Black Magic.
All right. Rocket obviously was a result of one of those outcrosses. That was when I bought Iron Eagle off from Terry Jones. And I bought him not because, of what he had done, although he had done a lot. And I think he was top 15-inch hound. Bear Big was top 15-inch hound. And I think it was 97. And he worked really good on these dogs. Some crosses better than others because I actually got it down to like the number. And someone asked about different crosses producing different things at different times earlier, and I explained what I thought about that. But there were certain bitches that crossed best with him. And when I saw which ones it was, I focused on them. Rocket, the old cameo bitch, crossed excellent with him. And Rocket he won the Grand Nationals in 2006, the Opens, and his younger brother Reject, similar run Kentucky Mountain Reject, won it in 2010. And I don't think that there's ever been before or since a pair of brothers that's done that. That was an excellent cross. That was one of those high percentage crosses that you produce the same quality hounds out of each litter. Rocket he was a great hound, great gun dog. My God, great jump dog. He was really a good hound. He had, and they talked about mouth earlier. Rocket was a dog that was a little higher maintenance. You had to run him longer hours to keep the mouth off from him because he had a big nose. I loved the old hound. He was great. I liked his son, Rainmaker, better. Rainmaker was dead clean from the get-go. But Rocket, he hunted hard. He had rapid sense. Just a good all-around dog. Tons of bottom. Smart. Now, Black Magic, by then I had several generations on. By the time I produced Black Magic, he was probably one of the prettiest field beagles that I ever produced. I mean, he looked like a show beagle, but he was pure field. And he had the show presence about him. He'd strut around, throw his tail over his back in the lot like, look at me, how pretty I am. And he was smart, great speed, good mouth, good nose. He was a really nice, complete, balanced hound. He was a direct son of Samson, of course, and was line bred heavy, and produced. He produced well. So that's pretty much the up and down on them. They were both good dogs, and they were ran together at times, but both really good, high-quality hounds. I love both of them. I did. But that's pretty much a description on them.
Mm-hmm. Abshire said, ask about Chime.
Yeah. Is that an open-end question?
I'm guessing so.
That would be Jimmy to make it as hard as you could on.
Oh yeah, that's you leave Jim to do that.
Well, Chime, I had her at a time that we weren't even running with shock collars, Lynn. That was the very infancy of shock collars. Chime was a tremendous hunting hound and had tremendous line control. I've seen her turn 90 degrees, a 90-degree angle, and never check. But she had so much hunt that when you cut her loose, and again, ran her without a shock collar, she wasn't hunting for you. You were hunting for her. Mm. And it would take you hours to pick that bitch up. I'm telling you. And that's one thing I do think I've actually made some progress in this. Back in the old days, I used to tell people, I'd say, boys, look at these bird dog breeders. My God, their dogs, they want to handle for their master, most of them. I said, us beagle people, we just cut these hounds loose, and Jesus, we're hunting for them for days. And the dogs now, they handle much of generations and a lot of color. A lot of these dogs have a very, I don't know, they're very personal. They want to please their master now, and I've tried for that. And but other than that, she was dead game, man. She was dead game. So that's how I would describe her.
Okay. All right. Thank you for that, sir. And another gentleman said, ask Dexter how Dingus McCrae and Spur's offspring were similar in running style when line bred.
We're getting personal here now. We're talking about individual line. And I want to tread softly on that because I know we have camps.
Tread on, brother.
I've got a friend. Let me preface it this way. I got a friend that was a Dingus McCrae fan, and we did do some breeding on the Dingus, some line breeding on them. And Dingus was about let me think here. He's about a quarter peak and 3/4 Fish Creek, probably, or somewhere similar to that. Blue Cap Fish Creek, whatever, because we're getting way back now. Because he was out of Hunt Master. Let me think here. Yeah, probably less than that. He was probably about maybe half peak and half Fish Creek Blue Cap. But the problem we had with the Dingus stuff, of course, for one thing, they were a little smaller than what we like to run. And Dingus, he produced well. But we had trouble with the mouth. When we got them too tight, they tightened up. And didn't have enough mouth. Now, that may have just been our problems. That's all I know about that. But the Spur stuff, I don't know. I thought they stood up well to heavy line breeding. I didn't lose mouth, and that was my only problem with our selective breeding program that we done with the Dingus stuff. That we lost mouth. They were real tight at some point. So that may have just been my experience. I'm just saying what I saw.
Absolutely.
But yeah, and but I respect the Dingus stuff. Don't get me wrong. Dingus made a great contribution. He was out of Hunt Master, he was out of Toastmaster, he was out of Pete. And but there was a lot of blue cap in that breeding. I think a lot of the older Dingus stuff had good noses. I think a lot of the Dingus satellites after he died were bred in different directions. Because and they even used Dingus. They used Dingus on the gay dogs, and they used him on even some brace dogs experimentally. So you saw, I saw a lot of variation in the Dingus Hound because of the way that they bred him to so many different styles of bitches. So I guess that's my answer on that one.
Okay, I'd say that's a great answer. Someone asked a question. They said, "How about Palantar?"
Palantar. Of course, he's out Black Magic and Shakira. Shakira's out of Buzzsaw, which I raised and sold to Lynn Perkins as an 8-month-old pup. And then the bitch that we bred to Buzz was out of Old Hustler, which I mentioned earlier. Palantar, he's smart, got good foot speed, nice black and tan. He's smart. He's a good gun dog. When he was young, he was until he hit about 13, 14 months old. He was tight mouthed, and that never was a problem, because the thing about Palatar's pups is once they get their legs under them, if you call it that, when they really know what they're doing, they come with plenty of mouth. And I would prefer to see a dog start a little tight and come with his mouth than to start loose, because typically if they're loose, they just get worse. He's a nice hound, just a complete balanced rabbit dog, pretty good jump dog. You know, he's not one of those 1 in a million jump dogs. Pretty good jump dog. He can produce. And now at his age, he's a heck of a line dog. You can run pups with him. And a lot of times when they check up, he can move on through without he able to slow down and move on through the check. Mm-hmm. So he's got rabbit smarts about him. Mm-hmm. Now I'm going to go on to say, and not many people know this, but he's a full brother to Sport, and Sport just passed away yesterday, unfortunately. It was a complete surprise. It was a complete surprise. He's a perfect help. Yeah, it's been tough. I grieved over him all day today, but I love both of them. You know, I normally don't keep 2 males out of 1 litter, but I like those 2 so much. I kept 2 males out of 1 litter. There wasn't a nickel's worth of difference between them, and their pups. Palatar produces a pup that is extreme. I mean, they're so much like Sport, it's amazing. So I love both of those little hounds. They're good hounds. They really are. Mm-hmm. And I really hated to lose Sport, but anyway. But that's Palatar.
Mm-hmm. If you had to attribute, or if you wanted to frame, out of everything that you've done, out of all of the successes, out of all of the, we don't say failures, you and I, we have that phrase, I forgot how it goes, as far as, you know, going forward, moving forward, and progressing the line. You know, and some people will contribute, you know, I guess, categorize as failures if you tried to cross, it didn't work, so forth. But I don't care who you are. If you tried breeding, if you tried to breed, it's going to happen. What would you want?
That is a learning experience.
That's what it was. There you go. That's what it was. Yeah, that's what it was.
Education ain't cheap.
Yeah, that's the phrase I was looking for right there. There you go. You hit the nail on the head. And I think. You keep saying some good stuff. I want to touch on that. I want to say that when you have people, and I'm going to dance around it. I'm not going to go off on it. We're going to behave tonight. When you have individuals that are able, someone you know, they address the question, or the question was brought to me, that in the form of, what about this person? Is it? I'm trying to get the question framed around my mind. They said, is it too much for one person to have all of this success, or I can't remember exactly how they said it, but they were essentially saying, if you have a person that produces on a mass scale, and you are to compare that individual, he or she, we're going to keep it open. If you're to compare that individual to anyone else that has not had that same accessibility to be able to produce that mass, or to be able to run at that level, you know, the multiple X amounts of crosses and so forth and so forth and so forth and so forth and so forth, how can you actually dictate and say one person has more of an influence than any other breeder? Let's say that you only made 5 crosses off of Samson, but those 5 crosses were some of the most influential, and really, as we hypothetically speak, these are actually technical facts, where, you know, back then you made 2 or 3 handfuls of crosses. I mean, I know you made way more now, but there were crosses that you made then, and the influence and the impact they had was not detrimental, but monumental. There was a fair amount of pivoting that was taking place back then in that particular time and setting. And, you know, the disposition of excellence, it exceeded in such a way off of what you were doing that the name Reffett began to precede the effort. And all of a sudden people begin to catch it. And it wasn't just a phase. It was something that stuck. It was like a good Sunday morning, message. It was like a thump or a thud of your finger in the door. When you was 10, you remembered it, something like that. And that's what I'm saying. So in all of that, I'm saying that to say this: if a person such as yourself, I mean, and we're not just pinpointing you, but just, you'll get where I'm going. If you had 50 Dexters, Reffetts, that could think like you, that could move like you, that could put the effort into it like you, they could put their soul into it, their heart into it, their mind, their spirit, everything that was within them into this thing, how much better, and we can't say it because we can't go there and do it, but how much better then, during, on the way to becoming present, and then future, would we have had in calibration of dogs? I mean, I'm getting at with that, because you think a lot of the time when we talk, a lot of the older guys have passed on, and some of those ones that have passed on, like Cody McDonald's and your Art Whites or your John Trubers, or so forth and so forth, not so much as being passed on, or your Lou Warmoffs, or your so many different people that were trying to do it, that looked down, and they didn't, some people didn't understand the niche that they had with one another, and barring the females and this and that. I mean, I'm so glad you said all that tonight. And I want to get to that, like, just speaking, hypothetically again, from your own opinion, how important or how different could things have been if you had 60 people dedicated, that's the key, dedicated and sold out in passion and tradition and in love for this thing? How much different could the outcomes, not incomes, much different could the outcomes have been then, and how much different would the outcomes probably be now?
Man, you didn't tell me you was going to test me on this scale. First of all, it's probably a good thing that everybody is not so devoted, because then the family society as we know it would fall apart.
God Almighty.
Because I want to tell you something, Ty. The things that we have done, and I guess we're talking about me tonight, but the things that I have done would not have been possible without the people before me. We are just, and I think you're a minister. Are you a minister?
Yes, sir, I am. Lord have mercy. Put me on
the spot.
Right.
And what does the Bible say about men's lives are like vapors above the water?
There you go.
Well, it is difficult for one person, and I've already explained that I'm not one person, because I have other people that I respect, and I place hounds with, and I watch them, and I love to bring young people into this, because I know that my days are numbered now, as surely all of ours are. I love to see young people get started, but it is so hard in a lifetime to develop a strength. I mean, it is. Now, at times you have to produce more numbers, but there's also small breeders out there that breed 1 or 2 litters a year, or every 2 or 3 years, that have high success, and that I would contribute that to, hopefully they know what they're doing. And the second thing is, I don't know if you've ever heard this saying, but even a blind hog can find an apron every now and then.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know. I'm respectful of the past, the people that came before us, because without them we wouldn't have what we have today. As far as breeding on a large scale. I think what I just said about even a blind hog can find an acre every now and then is very true, because if you breed enough dogs, if you don't produce a good one every now and then you're in bad trouble. Because your odds of success are higher because you're producing more. So, I don't know if I'm getting the question right or I'm just trying to dance around it.
No, you're on it.
Yes. It's hard to say, Tyson, because through the years there's been dedicated houndsmen, people that were devoted to the hounds. Willett Randall, look at him. Lived in the forest. Now, I don't breed patch with my dogs, but I respect patch dogs. There's Willett. There's so many more that devoted their lives to hounds. I mean, and the rest of the population goes on, and I'm not throwing this at anyone, and I hope no one gets offended by this, but most people, they are family oriented enough, I hope, that their first concern is their family. So how many times you look on the beagle board and somebody's selling out, got a divorce, got this, got that? Well, let me tell you, I've been through 2 divorces, and I've been through a lot of stuff in my life, but I never let go of my hounds. They stayed no matter what. No matter what I had to do to make them stay, they stayed. Because once I started the course, I was all in. And I'm not throwing that at people that go out. Some people may start a successful breeding program, but then something happens in their life and they fall out. Well, there's others that even if they had to slack back a while, they'll do it. But then they, when the time comes, they get back in at the level they want to be. So I don't know. That's a tough question. I don't know how to answer that.
I think you did just great. And I want to follow up with that, because I don't want to put too much in. I want to follow up and ask you this: do you sense the pulse of that dedication today?
So you cut out there, buddy. What was it?
I said, do you sense the pulse, the heartbeat, the breath, the blood oxygen level of that same dedication today? Not in you, but in the world. It's of beagling.
Candidly, no. I do not. And that's not to say that there's not people out there like that. There are.
Absolutely.
They are. But no, it's not there. We live in an age, and I'm old, so I can use this term. We live in a Star Trek age now of, all the technology and people getting drugged out of these, the huntsman attitude, that there's so many things more important to them now. Because, let me tell you something, Ty. When you start down this road, there ain't no half. There ain't no fraction. If you are dedicated, you're all in. And you will do whatever you have to do to keep your hounds. And, I'm not going to say it's good or bad, because, family comes first. It should. It's not always with me. I'm going to tell you that right now, because the hounds took precedent a lot of times. And that I should be ashamed of that. And in many ways I am. But I raised a son who's in the U.S. Navy right now. He's been in like 8 years. He's an officer on a carrier going into the Korean Gulf. And I feel extremely proud of him. And even though I probably haven't been the best dad in the world, we still respect one another. We love one another. And at one time, he was all into the hounds. But I think that we should take our family should come first. And, I'm going to say it. That's a weakness of mine because at times it didn't. So I'm not reckoning anybody else. I'm not reckoning anybody else to take that same path. I'm just telling you. I'm being very candid with you.
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir. And I appreciate the transparency as needed.
There it is.
Yeah,
that's all I got to say about that, buddy.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I'm gonna ask this last question, and we're not gonna draw milk from her. I'm not gonna say that the cow is dead; she's still alive, but I'm not gonna continue to get milk from her. We'll get milk from her another day. One person says, "How do you know that a young dog is a rabid dog, and what and when do you look for it?"
Well, that's a good question. We got off the tough question. I can talk about rabbit dogs. You was getting into personal stuff.
Oh, no.
A rabbit dog, I tell you what, that depends. And that term comes up. That depends. Well, that depends on whether you know the bloodline. Because if you know the bloodline, you can predict. What's really crazy, if you know the bloodline, you can predict what that hound's going to do before it even does. It don't know it, but you know it's coming. And if you know the bloodline, you can pretty much gauge. Because I like an early starting hound, but certain crosses they come on at different ages. So I watch them with that knowledge, and I give them some room because some of my dogs, and I mentioned it earlier, Alandar is one of them, and Sport was too. God love his heart now. They produced a hound that they had to be running track really good before they come with full mouth. So if a pup started a little tight at 9 months, 6, 7 months, 9, but he had all the actions, everything else. And I would tell some boys and say, Dexter, this pup's a little tight. And I'd say, all right, you just give him a little time. And inevitably, that pup would do exactly what I said they would do. They'd fall in and start giving full mouth when they were confident they were running the track.
Mm-hmm.
See, that's another thing about ability, that they were confident that they were running the track. And then others start younger and so forth. But and then the question was rabbit dog. Well, I'm going to tell you what. To me, you don't have a rabbit dog until you have a season or two over.
Come on here.
They ain't no 15, 16. Don't call me and tell me you got a rabbit dog at 12 months. You don't. You got a pup.
Mm-mm.
And that pup may blow sky high before he gets 2 years old. You ain't got a rabbit dog until he's got 2 or 3 years on him. Then you can say, I got a rabbit dog. And I know everybody out there. There's probably people listening that would say, oh, that is ridiculous. If I don't know that I got a rabbit dog by 12 months, then I want to get rid of it. Well, how long you been looking for that perfect beagler, mister? Or that perfect beagle? How many hounds you gone through?
When do you like?
And that's.
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
That's, you know, you can't. There's so many facets to a rabbit dog that it don't happen overnight. I get a kick out people call and say, I got a 9-month-old pup. He's a rabbit dog. And then I'm thinking, well, I hope you're right. But I'd give a little more time. You know, and I know some of the answers I've given tonight. Some people may like them, some don't. It don't matter. I don't really care. I'm pretty thick-skinned at this point in time. But I'll try to help anyone that's serious. Anyone. And I don't know all the answers, but I think I made this statement to you the other day. Like that farmer's commercial, farmer's insurance commercial. I know a thing or two because I've seen a thing.
Yes, sir. I love it.
I've seen a lot of hounds. I've seen a lot of great hounds. And I briefly touched on some of them, and that wasn't all of them. God bless them. But we got a lot of great houndsmen here in Eastern Kentucky, I'm telling you. And they've been instrumental in progressing this bloodline. They have. Because when Samson came along, there wasn't that many registered dogs up here. And now, you don't see too many that don't show him in a pedigree. Now, there's a lot, but there's a lot that show him. So he actually converted a lot of people to registered dogs.
Wow. Now with you, and this is the ending question, we're going to go ahead and bring it to a conclusion. Well, this is the conclusion, I guess, and this is the last question. Out of all of your efforts and everything that you esteemed and set out to do in the beginning of your quest toward progression, what is it that you would say out of anything and all things that if you had to bundle them and condense those efforts as far as in one thing that you would want the people to receive and to get out of everything that it was that you did and everything that you put into those dogs, the passion, the late nights, the early morning, the many phone calls, the countless miles, probably even engines and transmissions blown and stuff. I know what we have. What would you say you want some young person, middle-aged, old person, and preferably not deceased, because I'm pretty sure they're not watching, but if they are in spirit, then what would you say that you want any of these people to be able to retrieve or take back or take home with them? What would you say that thing would be?
Well, I think you need to expound on that a little bit.
Okay. What would you, as far as not in a characteristic from a dog, but what would you want people to take home as far as if you had one opportunity to stand in front of, 1 million people and somebody hand you the microphone to give you, a small time, not minutes, but maybe even seconds, to just say, look, I want you guys, if you don't get anything out of anything, some people say, hey, listen to your hounds, this, run your dogs, or stay, integral in your breeding, or what is it that you would want, let's say a young person, to know out of all of your efforts, what is it that you're trying to, or you've been trying to solicit to a multitude of people at a great length? What is it that you have been trying to say? I would say, of course, is that I'm after a rabbit dog and so forth and so forth, but is there anything that you would want to say?
That's a loaded question, brother. You done set me up out of all this. I want to tell you what. On a level playing field, I would say I want to think big, guys. All right.
Mm-hmm.
I want to think big. Number one, this is really big. I would like our entire country to love one another. And, I would love for our entire country to forget all the race bullshit and all that and just love one another, because we are one country. And I think we're the greatest country in the world. And we have the ability to make our own decisions. And it don't matter who you are. I mean, everybody just get along. Let's love one another. Let's be one cohesive country. And then us sportsmen, I would say to all the naysayers, don't treat us like we're some kind of outcasts. I mean, we were the frontiersmen that forged the trails in this country. And don't treat us like we're lower levels of life right now, because we are keeping hounds. We're running rabbits. And then for the younger people, for the sportsmen, keep your kids in the woods, keep them out of trouble. I mean, enjoy it. That is the big thing. When you go out there to that pen of hounds, don't look at it like it's some kind of chore. Bring the family in. Enjoy it if you can. I mean, and then when you go hunting, many of us have hunting traditions. Go hunting. Enjoy yourselves. Just, Tyson, be good to one another. Everybody. I mean, be good to one another. Don't, love one another. If you can help your neighbor, help him. If your buddy needs a dog, give it to him. If a child comes to your place and you got puppies and the parents can't afford one, give them a pup. In order, and Tyson, I firmly believe this, and you said you was a minister, and I believe it because I can sense it in you. If you expect, and I guess this is the way I'll end this, Tyson, if you expect good things to come to you, you got to plant seeds. You got to sow seeds. And that, I'll probably end with that.
Wow. And I don't know if I want to hit finish or if we let you lead out in a benediction, man. You touched my heart tonight, man. I thank you so much, Dexter. You have no idea. And God almighty, man. I mean, the feedback that we're getting right now, so many people are thanking you. It's nothing that I did, guys. It's just an idea. I was sitting here. That's right, Virgil Miller said, love one another. I guess that's one thing that really came, sat here and, this thing came to me, and it's not about me. The Lord, I really believe, said to do alive is not to sell puppies, is not to do any of that, but it was to bring people together. And it's all races, all sizes, all colors, all this, all that, all mindsets, all races, all religions, all registries, whatever formats. That's what it was about. And it's not about me. It's not about anybody that I bring on. It's just about what we're all trying to do and bring some kind of, solidarity together, that togetherness, everything that he just said. Dexter, I appreciate it. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, Tyson, I think I told you this the other night. Probably not in such an eloquent fashion, but I told you, and please, everybody, don't get upset about what I'm about to say. I said, I'm not going to say exactly, but all I'm saying is it don't matter what color we are.
I know he was about to say.
It don't matter. It don't matter nothing. We're all one people. Let's love one another. Help one another. If you see your brother down, my God, help him. That's it. I mean, I hope I didn't step over my bounds saying that.
No, sir, you didn't. No, sir. Yeah, you can't be deleted. You can't be blocked. Nobody can say anything because this is my page. So you're free. I told you when you came on, I don't bring people on that I don't trust their spirit, and I trust you fully. Me and you, we have the relationship. I told you what I thought of you, and to bring you on. So I'm telling you guys, y'all have no idea. If it wasn't for the sake of food, we would be here all night. But I'm not going to put my poor wife through all of that torment, But guys, I appreciate each and every one of you guys, every share, every like, every comment, the interaction that you all go for, and then even just coming on and chiming on and stay on here on a live feed for 2.5 hours. And you guys are still here, and we've maintained the momentum of high numbers watching. I can only imagine how many shares and how many likes and how many of this people have got out there and really begin to just share this. This is what it's about. Not about getting out and trying to be the next greatest breeder or trying to be the next greatest hit or sell the next highest $1,000, $1,500 puppy or all this crazy stuff. That's what it's about. Thank you guys. Thank you guys. I mean, I'm telling you, I can't say it enough. I mean, I don't even know. Do we even continue to have interviews every Friday? I mean, after this. But thank you so much, Mr. Reffett. Thank all you guys, and we will be seeing you guys soon enough. Thank you, and God bless.
Thank you, brother.
Thank you, sir.
Bye.
Okay, bye-bye.